Man United have a lot of work to do this summer, and then also bringing in Omar, Berrada, Ashworth, exciting people to do transfers, and it looks like it could be a very exciting window. We're going to dive into the realistic targets that Manchester United have been linked with by credible sources, players that we might actually sign, and talk about 5 players that Manchester United should sign this summer if they want to get closer to catching Liverpool, Manchester City, Arsenal. And as you can see, there's 6 positions highlighted here. We're only going to dive into 5 of them. But the positions highlighted that I think United need to address is a backup striker for Højlund, someone else that can play on the wing, because I don't think Antony's good enough that could challenge Garnacho, but also challenge Rashford, because Garnacho can play on the left-hand side. Someone that's going to be the perfect long-term partner for Kobbie Mainoo, because if you watch Kobbie Mainoo play versus England, he's a special, special boy. Someone that can help out Luke Shaw with his injury concerns. Someone that can potentially play left centre-back as well in case Martinez gets injured, plus we just need depth there. And of course, the right centre-back. And I think right centre-back will be the first position we address in the window. I think it looks like it's going to be the priority. So let's talk about the realistic right centre-back options. And I say realistic, I feel like players like Euro probably set to go to Real Madrid. I think Antonio Silva, Manchester United greatly admire him, but I think he'll be seen as out budget, because I think Man United are going to have this thing this summer where they won't spend more than 60 million on one single position, because they know they've got 5 positions to address, probably 6, but potentially even 7, depending on how many midfielders we sell. And what we really do will depend on sales. But you look at the options here, there's some good names here, there's some good options. These are players we've been linked with, realistically we know we're looking at. My number 1 choice for right centre-back is going to be Todibo. Why? Because reportedly it's going to be 38 to 40 million pounds. Why? Because we wanted him last season. Ten Hag wanted him last season. He's at Nice. Could be an easy deal to do. But when you look at Todibo as a player, he's an elite wide channel defender. He can even play right back. He's very good at defending the wide spaces. And I think if you want a top centre-back pairing, you need someone that's really comfortable defending large spaces, defending the wide channels like Mickey van der Ven. Very good off the ball, fast, athletically good. And then you want someone that can win duels and is a duel winner, like a Braithwaite, someone that's good in the air, like Van Dijk, to pair along with them. But with Todibo, while his weakness may be aerial, he's very good in possession. He's very comfortable in possession. He plays for Nice, possession-based side. His metrics are absolutely insane. He can break the lines. He can carry the ball. He can do long passes, do short passes. He would help United play out from the back, take that reliance off Martinez and build up. But also, he would allow Manchester United to push higher up the pitch. Maybe, and I think one of Man United's biggest problems this season is that the attack will press really, really high and the defence will be really, really low. And then there's big space in the midfield. Having someone like Todibo would allow Man United to play a high line. So when the attack is pressing really high, the defence can come up and press really high, because Todibo is really good 1v1, really good recovery pace, can defend large spaces. And then there will be less space in the midfield because we'd be playing high line. Similar to sort of Tottenham. Tottenham play a high line because Mickey van der Ven's in there. But when Mickey van der Ven was out, they had this big space in the midfield and they conceded like 3 goals to Fulham and they looked a bit like Manchester United. Only downside is aerial. And I think if he's playing with Martinez, aerial we might lack. And if we do play him alongside Sandro Martinez, then you'd want someone like an Amadou Onana coming in midfield for that physical presence. But if you look at his general FBref statistics, his percentile statistics, which, you can't completely go off these kind of statistics because it massively depends in the league they play, the team they play for, the style of the team they play for. But you can see passes attempted, pass completion, progressive passes, which is passes forward, progressive carries, successful take-ons. He's one of the best players on the ball at passing the ball forward, playing it forward. But also he ranks very high for tackles, interceptions, because he's got a very good reading and understanding of the game. Going into the second centre-back, I think Manchester United should look at, but I think we should draw the line if it goes above 60 million, which he could because he's very special. And I really wanted to see him play for England yesterday because I want to see what he's like for a possession-based side, because Everton are not a possession-based side, which is why his possession-based metrics will be poor. But from watching at Everton, he looks okay on the ball. He looks like he's got capabilities on the ball to be a decent player. But he can play left centre back, he can play right centre back, he's 2-footed. You can play him with Martinez, you can play him with Martinez gets injured. But what makes him stand out, particularly with Maguire and Varane like to leave, is he's a box defender. Maguire and Varane are box defenders, elite duel winners, win everything in the air, box defender. That is what Braithwaite is. He's 21, he's only going to get better. That John Stones came from Everton, went to City, became absolutely world-class. That's kind of Braithwaite. Great aerially, but he reminds me of Vidic with his determination to get on the ball, to not let anything get by. He's got a good reading of the game, looks decent on the ball. His FBref statistics, of course, for passes attempted and pass completion will be so much lower, but that is because he plays for Everton. So it's really hard to judge that. He might not be natural like Lissandro Martinez and Todibo on the ball, but he'll be better than what his statistics say because of the team he plays for. But if you look at tackles, interceptions, aerials won, he's pretty decent statistically. But when you watch him play, if you watch the Premier League, you know that he's good, but I wouldn't spend more than 60 million on it because we're looking at Maguire territory. I guess you can say when you look at the prices players are going for these days, you can understand why he's 60 million. Guardiola was, 70 million, wasn't he? And I don't think Guardiola's been that good for Manchester City. Ben White went for 50 million a couple of years ago. You can see why this kind of centre-back Everton will want at least 60 million for. Going into DM, and I actually think DM is the most important position. Now, if you watched England versus Belgium, Amadou Onana was stand out. I personally think that Matt Sweefer is better on the ball, and I still slightly prefer Matt Sweefer. But I think with Amadou Onana, because he's Premier League proven, because he's younger, he's going to be the guy that Ineos go for. And I still think it's a good option. I was really impressed with him for Belgium yesterday. He's probably going to be about £50 million. I think if we can sell McTominay for 40 million and we can invest that money in Amadou Onana, that would be good usage. Now, what Amadou Onana is a ground coverage monster. We see how much space and gaps Man United leave in the midfield. We see that Casemiro and Eriksen don't have the legs to keep up with other midfields. You've got Amadou Onana with his long legs, his 6'5" strides. He covers up and eats more ground than any other player. He's athletically what we need. One of the reasons I've been backing of Ten Hag is because I think athletically we don't have the players. You look at Ange Ball, and everyone's like, Ange plays good football. But you look at the legs of Pat Matasar, you look at the legs of Basuma, they can cover so much ground. You look at the legs of Eriksen, you look at the legs of Casemiro, and you think they can't. And Man United athletically can't compete with teams physically, athletically. Amadou Onana gives them that physical demon monster that has those long legs that can cover ground, that off the ball does everything that we are missing off the ball in our midfield, as well as being 6'5", an elite dual-winning monster, giving us that tall presence in midfield. And that would mean that Kobbie Mainoo could push up and, use his technical qualities on the ball, and Amadou Onana can cover more defensively. Or if Kobbie Mainoo does play down as a 6, Amadou Onana can push up the pitch. We can go and do long balls over the top and avoid building up through the midfield. And him and Kobbie Mainoo, I think, could build a really good partnership where they rotate and alternate with each other. And I think that could be a really good pairing in terms of he covers some of Mainoo's weaknesses out of possession. I think Mainoo's so good in possession. I think he's been doing well out of possession. But I think, where Mainoo's strengths are is maybe Amadou Onana's weaknesses potentially in possession. Again, he's at Everton, not a possession-based side. I think he's okay in possession. But where Kobbie Mainoo's strengths are, Amadou Onana's weaknesses are. Where Kobbie Mainoo's weaknesses are, which is being 6'5", not being 6'5", and maybe not being that sort of defensive monster, you've got that in Amadou Onana, which makes them a really good pairing. If there might be competition for him, Matt Sweefer would definitely be the one we should look at if we can't get Onana. If you look at his percentile statistics, aerials 194 percentile, tackles 87th percentile. He's sort of that aerial tackle monster, wins back the ball. Ten Hag wants to play a transition style of football with Garnacho, with Rashford being direct. If you've got a player that can win back the ball quickly, boom, transition. Exactly what you want. You need players that can win back the ball. He does that. Yes, on the ball, his statistics aren't the best. He plays for Everton. If he plays for United, they would be better. But when you're pairing him with Kobbie Mainoo that's elite on the ball, you should be fine. But I do think if I'm Manchester United, I'm going to mention this now, I would sell McTominay, Amrabat, Eriksen and Casemiro, get Amadou Onana in. If the funds were there, I'd go for someone like João Neves, maybe someone cheaper, alternative to João Neves, someone that is good on the ball, because Kobbie Mainoo is their only good player on the ball, and they need to think about maybe 2 midfield signings if that's there. But we need a right winger before we need a second midfielder. Olise, Bakayoko, Nico Williams, Neto and Soulé. These are sort of the reported prices. Nico Williams, 43 million release clause. He's almost looking like my first choice because he can play left wing and right wing. The Garnacho's played so well right wing. And he's a 1v1 monster, but it looks like Ineos are going to go with Olise. It almost feels like Olise to Man United's nailed on. He's Premier League proven. He loves Manchester United. He's a massive fan of the club. And there's no doubt in my mind that injuries are concerning, but he'd be an elite winger for United. He brings creativity. That's what we need. Service for Højlund. But also, we're going to talk about the striker I'd bring in a second. He'd work really well with the striker I'd want to bring in. He puts in crosses. He's an elite ball striker. He can create. And what he offers something different is Garnacho and Rashford are things called carry first wingers. They get the ball. They want to dribble, cut in and shoot. Olise to pass first winger. When he gets the ball, it isn't about just being and dribbling. It's about passing the ball, moving the ball, overlapping, creating play. He's a very creative player. He's a good dribbler. He's a good passer. He's an immense ball striker, but he's got that IQ, that reading of the game, that understanding of the game. He would need runners around him to get the best out of him, but I think we're starting to see that with Delo. And as the system develops, he's a set-piece specialist. He's intelligent, but he brings that creative outlook. Garnacho and Rashford are very similar in terms of their dribbling, their raw ability, their carrying. You've then got someone that offers a different profile, who we know is Premier League proven and very, very good in Michael Olise. Continuing on, if you look at his FBrest statistics, it's a shame he's been injured all season, but defensively, people saying his work rate's bad. Defensively, he's very, very solid for a winger. Obviously, he does play for Palace, though, so that does make a bit of a difference. If you look at things like successful take-ons, very successful, progressive passes, very high up, passes attempted very high up, assists, expected assists, 98%. if you're getting a sit, if you're in the 98th percentile for a scoring metric at Crystal Palace that don't score a lot of goals, that shows you how good he is. You know, like imagine at United, well, we haven't scored many goals this season, but imagine at United that will go up. Shot creating actions, non-penalty goals and assists, expected assists and assists. The fact that he's so high up says a lot. Now, going into the final position is striker. And realistically, it's got to be Sesko or Zirkzee for me, because I don't think we could spend more than 43 million on a striker. I think Sesko's great. I think Sesko has maybe the highest potential. But I think right now, Joshua Zirkzee could be more ready-made, potentially with Florian Plettenberg saying it's got a 35 million release clause, and I just think that is too good to say no to. He can provide cover for Bruno because he has the ability to drop deep. He can play centre forward, he can play second striker, but also provide Højlund cover because of his versatility, which makes him even more appealing. But what he's so good at is link-up play. He's not, you know, a box striker where you give him service and he thrives. He's a guy that makes the players around him better. He's a guy that facilitates the wingers. And when United aren't creating a lot of chances and a lot of our goals come through the wingers, having a striker that can facilitate the wingers may just suit how we play better. He's a link-up player is elite. His creativity is elite. He facilitates the wingers. He facilitates runners. He'd work well with Olise, Garnacho, Rashford. And yeah, why he doesn't get crazy goal numbers? He's, you know, he doesn't have crazy goal chances created for him, a bit like Højlund. He creates for himself, he creates for his teammate, he makes his team look better. He's so complete all round because he's fast, because he's 6'4", he's just athletically class as well. We can run him behind, he can allow Tenag to transition, he can hold up the ball, he can play up the ball, he can win the duels, he can link up play, he can dribble, he can drop deep. I think he just ticks a lot of boxes, and when you think of 35 million, when you think of how much better he can become his potential, you say why not? And you'll say, look, Alice, is for a striker, is non-penalty goals aren't the best, but considering his non-penalty XG is 0.23, it shows how little chances to create for him, and he's outperforming that, being in the 40% off the goal. You can see he's a good clinical finisher. You can see that, shot creating actions, he's on 83, one of the most creative wingers there. You look at passes, attempted pass completions, successful take-ons. He's one of the best wingers in terms of the way that we play, which would suit it. So, they're my 5 signings I think Manchester United should make this summer, which are realistic. Let me know your thoughts down below. I also think we need a left back, maybe a young left back, but I'm actually going to do a video later on about 5 left backs Manchester United to sign when we get nearer there. Thank you for watching. Bye.